All right. All right. How's everybody doing today? Hotep. Hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, and writer. It is Thursday, May 9th, 2019, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. So I wanted to talk about this topic earlier, but I was busy doing some research trying to put the pieces together. So a lot of people heard about Chadwick Boseman, who played T'Challa in Black Panther. Huge film, okay, nominated for 7 Oscars and did about $1.3 billion worldwide, won all type of awards. Well, Chadwick Boseman is going to play the character, going to portray the real life person named Yasuke, who was an African samurai from Japan, an African samurai of Japan. Okay, so this was just announced in the last few days. I know Huffington Post has an article about this from May 7th, 2019. So I was busy pulling together some of the details dealing with this story, okay, and dealing with some of the history of Yasuke. All right, so everybody share this broadcast on your Facebook page. Invite your friends to tune in also. And African American business owners, post your name and your business here on the thread of the broadcast as well. So I've read about Yasuke in the past, and you see I have my Black Panther, one of my Black Panther shirts on has T'Challa right on it, Chadwick Boseman T'Challa right on it. So I said, let me wear this one. It was already washed, okay? I washed a bunch of clothes recently, so but I didn't press it. So I said, let me press this and wear this to talk about this topic, okay? All right, how's everybody doing? Mildred and Nadia, just a few of the people watching. So Huffington Post Black Voices has this article from March 7th, 2019. Chadwick Boseman tapped to play Japan's first Black samurai, Yasuke. Now, it's not clear if this was the first African samurai. The reason why I say that is because there's a famous quote, and I reached out to Runoko Rashidi today, historian and world traveler, to try to get some more clarification on this. But Runoko wrote an article for AtlantaBlackStar.com called "The World of Sakanoya no Tamaramaro, Black Shogun of Early Japan." This is somebody else, okay? This is a Black shogun. The shogun was a ruler in Japan, and the samurai backed up were the warriors who backed up the shogun. But this is an article from September 7th, 2014. And the first thing that he does after dedicating this to Dr. Wayne B. Chandler, he quoted a famous Japanese proverb, which states, "For a samurai to be brave, he must have a bit of black blood. For a samurai to be brave, he must have a bit of black blood." So if this is true, and if this is referring to Black as in ethnicity, phenotype, dealing with African people, then it's not clear if Yasuke was actually the first samurai, first African samurai, okay? And also you may want to get Runoko's book, African Star over Asia, The Black Presence in the East. African Star over Asia, The Black Presence in the East, okay? Because he talks about Sakanoya in his book also. Okay, and you can get his books at drrunoko.com, RUNOKO, drrunoko.com. So I was going through, reading through some of the articles in my archives, articles I've read through before, and also AtlantaBlackStar.com has an article from June 6, 2017, dealing with 6 little-known facts about Yasuke, the all-powerful Black samurai of feudal Japan. And in this article from AtlantaBlackStar.com, they don't call him the first Black samurai or first African samurai, okay? So I was putting these pieces together. Now, we know that African people were the original inhabitants of Japan, okay, as well as China. So Runoko in this article from AtlantaBlackStar.com, the world of Sakanoye Black Shogun of early Japan. It talks about in the article, although the island nation of Japan occupying the extreme eastern extensions of Asia is assumed by many to have been historically composed of an essentially homogeneous population and culture, the accumulated evidence, much of which has been quietly ignored, places the matter in a vastly different plight. And though far more study needs to be done on the subject, it seems indisputable that Black people in Japan played an important role from the most remote phases of antiquity into at least the 9th century AD. Okay, so the article goes on to say meaningful indications of an African presence in ancient Japan have been unearthed from the most remote ages of the Japanese past to begin with, and as a significant example, a February 15th, 1986 report carried by the Associated Press chronicled that. Okay, all right. So let me continue, and I have the article pulled up here also. So let me reference the article pulled up. I think we have it here. Where is it? Okay, yeah, here we go. I have a bunch of tabs open up, so you have to bear with me. I've been doing a lot of research on this. Okay, so the article from the Associated Press on February 15th, 1986 says, quote, the oldest Stone Age hut in Japan has been unearthed near Osaka, Japan. Archaeologists date the hut to about 22,000 years ago, and say it resembles the dugouts of African Bushmen, according to Wazuo Hiroshi of Osaka Prefectural of Education's Cultural Division. Okay, quote, other homes almost as old have been found before, but this discovery is significant because the shape is cleaner, better preserved, and is similar to the African dugouts, end quote. Okay, now there's some more in that article I want to cite here. So Runoko goes on to cite, he goes on to say, as to linguistics, in 1987, former Senegalese President Leopold Senghor noted that, quote, the people who populate the island of Japan today are descendants from Blacks. Let us not forget that the first population of Japan was Black. Okay, let us not forget that the first population of Japan was Black and gave to Japan their first language, end quote. Okay, so then also, because this is an extensive article, this is about, how many pages is this? 6 pages, okay? I'm just laying a foundation, just dealing with some excerpts from it. He goes on to quote, the Journal of Race Development published an essay by Alexander Chamberlain, who was an anthropologist, okay? And let me scroll down to that. Perhaps the first scholar to make note of Sakanoye, the shogun, okay, not Yasuke. These are 2 different people, but perhaps the first scholar to make note of Sakanoye was Alexander Francis Chamberlain, who lived from 1865 to 1914, okay, which is interesting because 1865 was the year the Civil War ended, and 1914 was the year World War I started. Okay, so he was an anthropologist born in Norfolk, England, and was brought to America as a child. Now, in April of 1911, the Journal of Race Development published an essay by Alexander Chamberlain titled The Contribution of the Negro to Human Civilization. The Contribution of the Negro to Human Civilization. Now, this was in 1911, okay? And he said, while discussing the African presence in early Asia, Chamberlain stated in an exceptionally frank and matter-of-fact manner, quote, and we can cross the whole of Asia and find the Negro again. For when, in far-off Japan, the ancestors of the modern Japanese were making their way northward against the Ainu. Now, the Ainu, you've heard me talk about the Ainu before. Dr. David Imhotep talks about the Ainu in his book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. They are basically looked at, and sometimes they are said to be the same as the Khoisan. The Khoisan have the oldest DNA on the planet and come from Southern Africa, go all around the world. And other times they're referred to as descendants of the Ainu. So you have the Ainu and the Twa being descendants of the Khoisan. The Twa derisively called pygmies in European anthropology and archaeology. But these are very ancient people, the short-statured people, okay? The Ainu and the Twa. So he says that the ancestors of the modern Japanese were making their way northward against the Ainu, the aborigines of that country, saying that the Ainu were the aborigines of Japan. The leader of their armies was Sakanoya, a famous general and a Negro, okay? Dr. W.B. Du Bois, who lived from 1883 to 1963, because Dr. W.B. Du Bois, he died I think he died the day before or the same day as the March on Washington, which was August 28, 1963. But Dr. W.B. Du Bois, perhaps the greatest scholar in American history, in his book, The Negro, first published in 1915, placed Sakanoya within a list of some of the most distinguished Black rulers and warriors in antiquity, okay? So these are just some excerpts from Winoko's extensive, excellent article dealing with the Black shogun of early Japan, okay, Sakanoya. And a lot of these are excerpts from his book, African Star Over Asia, The Black Presence in the East, okay, which is an extensive book also. This book is like 300, almost 400 pages. It's an extensive book. All right, so I said that just to lay some foundation here to deal with Yasuke, okay? And let me post a link here to this article here from Winoko Rashidi that he wrote for AtlantaBlackStar.com. This was from September 7th, 2014. So if we go to the article from Huffington Post Black Voices from March 7th, 2019, okay? And African-American business owners, post the name of your business here in the thread of the broadcast. Email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com, customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. All right, so Chadwick Boseman tapped to play Japan's first Black samurai Yasuke. However, I have not been able to confirm that he was the first Black samurai, and I really don't think he was the first. So in the article, it talks about how Chadwick Boseman has found himself in another epic role. The Black Panther actor has been tapped to star as Yasuke, according to Deadline.com. Deadline.com reported this. So Chadwick Boseman said, the legend of Yasuke is one of history's best kept secrets, the only person of non-Asian origin to become a samurai. That's not true. There were at least 9 documented non-Asian people to become a samurai, okay? Quote, that's not just an action movie. That's a cultural event and exchange, and a cultural event and exchange, and I'm excited to be part of it. Quote, end quote. Although Yasuke was the first, there have been other non-Asian samurai since, okay? Now, this article is written by Kimberly Yam, Y-A-M, Kimberly Yam, who appears to be Asian. And she is a reporter dealing with Asian American affairs for the Huffington Post, okay? So there was talk of the movie's development back in 2017 when Mike DeLuca and Stephen Laharu, Heureux, not exactly sure how to pronounce that, said they were co-producing a film based on Yasuke's story. Now, Doug Miro, M-I-R-O, co-creator of Narcos, will be writing the script, Deadline.com reported. Now, according to the biography, African Samurai, the true story of Yasuke, a legendary Black warrior in feudal Japan, by Thomas Lockley and Jeffrey Gerard. And it appears this book just came out April 30th, 2019, because I went to Amazon to check out this book and get some specifics about it and read the synopsis also. So it looks like a fascinating book as well. Now, according to Thomas Lockley and Jeffrey Gerard, authors of African Samurai, Yasuke was originally taken from his village near the Nile by slavers and eventually sent to India to serve the Portuguese. He ended up in Japan in 1579 as an indentured bodyguard and a valet of powerful Portuguese Jesuit missionary Alessandro Valignano, Valignano, Alessandro Valignano. The mission, now these were the Jesuit, these were priests, okay? The Jesuit priests. Now, the missionary who sought to curry favor with the warlord Oda Nobunaga, Nobunaga, Japanese, gave the warlord Yasuke as, quote, a weapon bearer and novelty, end quote. Nobunaga awarded Yasuke, a valiant and mighty fighter, the prestigious status of samurai, and Yasuke was revered by those around him. Okay, now in doing some research on this, he achieved that status of samurai within about a year. It's believed that the name Yasuke was a variation of his African name, whatever his African name was. I haven't been able to find that. Okay, quote, people in the streets did not only gape at him, the biographers wrote, they bowed heads to the earth as they addressed him. So he was said to be 6'2", very dark, black, very dark, and had the strength of 10 men. Okay. So that's the article from HuffingtonPost.com. HuffingtonPost.com. Chadwick Boseman tapped to play Japan's first Black samurai, Yasuke. We'll post a link at the article here. So let's look at some more of this history, okay? First off, let's see. Let's look at the face-to-faceafrica.com has an article about this. How the enslaved African from Mozambique became Japan's first Black samurai. This is from May 8th, 2019. And this article was written because of because of the story of Chadwick Boseman playing this real life person. Okay, so this is from face-to-faceafrica.com. They have a lot of really good historical articles and articles dealing with current events on the continent of Africa. So you see we share a lot of their articles. Sometimes some of their articles can be a little light when it comes to historical references. I'm just saying that. I'm just putting that out there. So because there have been a couple of articles I had to send them a message and say, you know, this article has no historical references. Could you please cite some historical references? All right. So this article is written by Ishmael Akwei, A-K-W-E-I, okay? So it says the transatlantic slave trade perpetuated by Europeans from the 16th century, now it goes back to the 15th century. It starts with the Portuguese in the early 1440s. So it starts in the 15th century, not the 16th century, just so we understand. Europeans from the 16th century blessed Japan reportedly with its first Black man who rose through the elite ranks to make history as the country's first Black samurai. Okay, unless they're saying that, unless they're referencing Europeans going into Japan with slaves first in the 16th century, I guess, I don't know. But just so we understand, transatlantic slave trade goes back to the 15th century, back to the early 1440s. All right, now Yasuke, as he was called, is believed to have been born in Mozambique around 1555. Mozambique is, you have the Portuguese who are taking Africans from Mozambique at this point, okay, because they've already been involved in the transatlantic slave trade over 100 years. He served as a slave under the Italian Jesuit Alessandro Valignano. And they have a couple of pictures here. I'll show you here in just a minute. Now, Valignano, who was in charge of the Jesuit missions, a scholarly religious congregation of the Catholic. Okay, remember, it's the Jesuits who were running Georgetown College, which became Georgetown University. And remember, they sold 272 enslaved Africans in about 1838 for $115,000. Okay, you'll remember that. I've talked about that recently. Okay, so a scholarly religious congregation of the Catholic Church, which originated in 16th century Spain. All right, so Valignano was in charge of the Jesuit missions in East Africa, South and East Asia, and he traveled to Japan with Yasuke in 1579. The presence of the black man, who was taller than the regular Japanese and believed to have the strength of 10 men, caused a stir and gave Yasuke an audience with the Japanese hegemon and warlord Oda Nobunaga. Okay. Now, according to a letter written in 1581 by Jesuit priest Luis Lorenco Mexia, Mexia, Yasuke was presented to Nobunaga, who suspected his skin was colored with black ink. So he had him strip and scrub his skin to prove his claim, okay, that he was black, he's African. This was also recorded in the 1582 annual report of the Jesuit mission in Japan. Now, Nobunaga took a keen interest in Yasuke when he was convinced his skin was in fact black. He added him to his servants and enjoyed talking to him, according to many Japanese books. The archives of the Japanese samurai, the Maeda, M-A-E-D-A, Maeda samurai clan, noted that, quote, the black man was given his own residence and a short ceremonial katana, which is a samurai sword. Remember that from martial arts, by Nobunaga. Now, Nobunaga also assigned him the duty of weapon bearer, end quote. Now, 1582, Yasuke fought alongside the Nobunaga-led forces in the tribal battle called Battle of, I'm not even going to pronounce that, Tenmoukuzan. Nobunaga was attacked and he was forced to commit Japanese ritual suicide, okay? After Nobunaga's death, Yasuke was eventually captured by the rival clan, which described him as an animal and not Japanese. His life was, however, spared, and he was returned to the Jesuits. There is no account of the rest of Yasuke's life and how he died. However, he has been depicted in many artworks by 16th century Japanese artists who painted him in service and also in sumo wrestling matches. Yasuke also appeared in a 1968 Japanese children's historical fiction book, and in movies, books, and many publications as well. All right, it was announced in March of 2017 that Lionsgate Films and Michael DeLuca would produce a film about Yasuke written by Gregory Whiten. Okay, but we know it didn't happen then, so it was just announced early May. Articles from May 7th that Chadwick Boseman is going to play this part. So I hope it's as historically accurate as possible, okay, the film. Let me show you some of these pictures here. These are because I've been doing a lot of research on this, so I see these paintings coming up. And then also AtlantaBlackStar.com has an article from June 6, 2017, 6 little known facts about Yasuke, the all-powerful black samurai of feudal Japan. Okay, how's everybody doing here? Share this broadcast on your Facebook page. Invite your friends to tune in also. So Chadwick Boseman goes from playing T'Challa, who in the Marvel comic universe is the richest man in the world, And the richest man in the history of the world was Mansa Musa, who became emperor of the Mali Empire in 1312 AD. And when Mansa Musa goes on his Hajj to Mecca, he hands out so much gold on his way to Mecca that it throws off economies in the various villages and countries that he's going through, okay? All right, so let's post a link here to this article from, where's this from? Okay, that's Huffington Post Black Voices. This is the one from face-to-faceafrica.com. And let's look at some of these pictures here. Also, if you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show. That helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, pay the bills, pay for these ink cartridges that I just bought a few days ago, so I can print this stuff out too. And this also helps to finance our Sunday night show, the African History Network show that we do on 9:10 a.m. to Sushan. We're on every Sunday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, who we have here? We have Zuri. How you doing, Zuri? Who else we have here? No, we have a bunch of people watching us right now. All right, let me turn on the screen share. Let's look at some of these pictures here. Some of these historical pictures. Okay, so this is from the article from Face to Face Africa. We have a depiction of Yasuke serving his Japanese warlord master Oda Nobunaga. Okay, so this is a picture here, and then he's the one walking. He's not the one on the horse, okay? All right, then we have this one here. He's the one with the umbrella, apparently, okay? Let's see. Okay, so we have this depiction here as well. And also this one here, he has the umbrella-like structure, parasol, okay, as well. Let's see if there's a caption. Okay, no caption for that one as well. Okay, so he's a historical figure. And we know the original inhabitants of Japan were Africans. It's not talked about a lot. Here's another depiction of them as well. This appears to be from a Japanese children's book, I guess it is, something like that, or a movie. All right. So let's look at this article from, let's go to the one from AtlantaBlackStar.com. This is from June 6, 2017. And this deals with 6 little known facts about Yasuke, the all-powerful Black samurai of feudal Japan. Now, in this article, they don't call him the first Black samurai. Okay. And also there have been 9 documented non-Asian samurais in history as well. Okay, so let's look at let me pull this one up. All right, so one, he was an enslaved African soldier given into the care of an Italian missionary. Okay, the origins of Yasuke are shrouded in mystery. But historians believe the African soldier was born in 1555 in what was then Portuguese Mozambique. He was reportedly sold into slavery following the fall of Abyssinian Bengal, Bengal, an African kingdom ruled by Ethiopians. Yasuke found himself in the care of an Italian Jesuit missionary, Alessandro Valignano, who asked that the Black man accompany him on a mission trip to Japan. Okay, now when Yasuke and Alessandro arrived in Kyoto, Japan in 1579, the sight of the 6'2" Black man caused a frenzy in the marketplace. The loud commotion caught the attention of the Japanese warlord, Nobunaga, who was impressed with Yasuke's towering stature, okay? And The ruler was all too fascinated with the African man's skin, characterizing him as, quote unquote, handsome and someone who possessed the strength of 10 men, quote unquote, as recorded in Lord Nobunaga's Chronicle, Lord Nobunaga Chronicle, the principal Japanese source that describes Yasuke, okay? Now, because he was a foot taller than most Japanese men at the time, Yasuke was a sight to see. Nobunaga soon made him his personal bodyguard. All right, now, number 3, his skin was so black, the warlord Oda Nobunaga thought he was covered in ink. Okay, so we talked about that as well, and he had him stripped to his waist and scrub his skin to prove that he wasn't covered in ink. Number 4, he was soon appointed as high-ranking samurai. Yasuke soon rose to prominence as a high-ranking samurai after he was appointed the top position by Nobunaga. Quote, Yasuke conflicted about the violence of his past when he got to Japan, embraced samurai culture, and became a useful warrior for the warlord, end quote, said director Gregory Wyden, who's producing the period action film Black Samurai on Yasuke's life. Quote, he became a samurai. They presented him with a blade and he went to work. Okay, that was was that 4? Number 5, he was allowed to dine with Lord Nobunaga, a very prestigious honor. Yasuke enjoyed modern fame as a high-ranking samurai with his own katana, okay, a traditional Japanese sword. Unlike other officials of the military order, the Black Samurai was regularly invited to dine with the warlord, Nobunaga. Such an honor was reserved for a select few. Number 6, his career as an all-powerful samurai was short-lived. His career as an all-powerful samurai was short-lived. Unfortunately, Yasuke's time as a powerful samurai lasted only a short year, from 1581 to 1582, thanks to the successful overthrow of Nobunaga by one of his former generals, okay? In June of 1582, as a result, the warlord and his supporters were forced to perform the ritual of suicide. Nobunaga's successor apparently took pity on Yasuke and spared him from performing the ritual. Yasuke was returned to the Italian Jesuit missionary Alessandro Falegnano and lived in obscurity until his death. Okay, so that's from AtlantaBlackStar.com. 6 little known facts about Yasuke, the all-powerful Black Samurai of feudal Japan. Now, in that article, that's from June 6, 2017, written by Tanasia Kinney. Now, in that article, it does not refer to him as the first Black Samurai, okay? If we look at, so I looked at about 7 different sources for this, okay? One of the articles from Huffington Post cited ancient origins, ancient-origins.net, ancient-origins.net. They have an article, The Amazing Story of Yasuke, the Forgotten African Samurai. Okay, you can check that out as well. And then we'll post a link here for that, okay? That is The Amazing Story of Yasuke, the Forgotten African Samurai. This is from February 2017. I'll post that article. If we look at the summary from the new book that just came out about Yasuke, it's on Amazon.com. And this is entitled, the name of the book is African Samurai, the Story of Yasuke, a legendary Black warrior in feudal Japan. The first article I shared with you from the Huffington Post, the writers, co-writers of the book are quoted in this article. Okay, it's by Thomas Lockley and Jeffrey Gerard. Okay, so there is a summary of this book, and it says The remarkable life of history's first foreign-born samurai and his astonishing journey from Northeast Africa to the heights of Japanese society. Okay, so once again, if we look at this, so they say foreign-born samurai, okay? But I don't remember them saying the first black samurai, because the original inhabitants of Japan were African people, number one. And if we look at that Japanese proverb that Runoko Rashidi quotes in his article for AtlantaBlackStar.com from September 7, 2014, for a samurai to be brave, he must have a bit of black blood. For a samurai to be brave, he must have a bit of black blood. Now, in Hidden Colors 2, they talk about this also, because Runoko Rashidi is in Hidden Colors 2, along with one of my teachers, Professor Kabahayawatha Kamene, formerly known as Booker T. Coleman. Runoko wrote a series of articles for AtlantaBlackStar.com, so you can read those. And his website, once again, is drrunoko.com, DRRUNOKO, drrunoko.com. I've interviewed him a number of times as well. So, I mean, those interviews are archived. Also, we have some of them, I think, on our YouTube channel. But Runoko wrote an article for AtlantaBlackStar.com in September 14, 2014, called Before Enslavement, Africa's Ancient Diaspora. Before Enslavement, Africa's Ancient Diaspora, okay? And in this article, Runoko deals with the African presence in Asia. He deals with the first Asians, and he talks about them being the diminutive Africoids, the small-statured African people. And let me pull this up on the other laptop here, because I've got it up on the second one. I'm monitoring some things on the second laptop, so. This is the old one. Let me pull this up on the, these are one of the thousands of articles that I have bookmarked. Okay, so let's pull this one up here. And this, once again, this was Runoko's book I was citing earlier in the broadcast, African Star Over Asia, the Black Presence in the East, okay? So he autographed this for me in 2013. I think he was speaking at the Liberated Minds Black Homeschool and Education Expo that year. I think that's where I got it from, because I'm one of the presenters there each year. The third weekend in July, go to liberatedmindsexpo.com, liberatedmindsexpo.com. That's an African-centered homeschooling expo that takes place the third weekend of July in Atlanta each year. So I'll be there in this year also. Okay, shout out to Queen Thais, who's the co-founder. And then this is another one of Runoko's books. So this is one we use in the online courses that I teach, called Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach in school. This is called Black Star, the African Presence in Early Europe. Black Star, the African Presence in Early Europe. So this deals with the Africans known as the Moors all throughout Europe. This is a deep book also. Okay, so in this one here, Before Enslavement, Africa's Ancient Diaspora, Runoko talks about, he says, let's go to this, the African presence in Asia, the first Asians, the earliest modern human, Homo sapiens sapiens, which are modern man, Homo sapiens sapiens, the earliest modern human populations of Asia were also of African birth. Here we are speaking of the diminutive Africoids, the extremely important and much romanticized family of Black people, phenotypically characterized by unusually short statures, okay, or height, skin complexions that range from yellowish to dark brown, tightly curled hair, and in frequent cases, like many other Blacks, steatopygia, okay? They are probably more familiar to us by such pejorative terms as pygmies, negritos, or negritos. Similar people who live today in Southern Africa have been titled Bushmen. More accurate names for these later people are the San, translated as original inhabitants. You have the San or the Khoisan, okay? You have the San or the Khoisan. The Khoisan, as Dr. David Imhotep talks about in this book. And his new book, I just talked to him yesterday. His new book comes out in July. He's working on his new book, is delayed. He's getting authorization. He has 50 photographs in his new book called The First Americans Were Africans Revisited. So he has 50 photographs in his new book, and he has to get written permission to use them. Okay, so he's in that process. So he said it should be out in July 2019. This was his first book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. He talks about the Khoisan, and here the Khoisan have the oldest DNA on the planet. They come from Southern Africa. They are the ancestors to the Ainu and the Twa. They go all around the world, and they were in this land also, because I'm working on a presentation I'm giving Saturday, May 11th, for the pre-Mother's Day African Ball in Detroit, and I'll be dealing with ancient Africans in America. So some of this ties into my subject matter. I'm working on a presentation right now. And this is 6 p.m. to, I guess, midnight. It's at the International Institute, 111 East Kirby Street in Detroit. Dinner served at 7 p.m. There'll be dinner, dancing. This is put on by the UTTWA organization. There'll be African and vegetarian food included. Queen Mother Ocean Dara is helping organize this event. Cultural drummers and dancers. There'll be a prize for Best African Attire. There'll be musical performances by the Odu Afrobeat Orchestra, starring Adeboye. And I'll be doing a presentation dealing with ancient Africans in America and great African women in history, the mothers of civilization. Tickets are $40, and that money don't go to me. This is because I'm the guest speaker. Tickets are $40 for ticket information. And they're also having vendors, so we'll have our vendor table there. We'll have our DVD lectures. For tickets and more information, call 313-717-5578, 313-717-5578, or 313-603-1340, 313-603-1340. And the following day, May 12th, Sunday, May 12th, Mother's Day, they have a Mother's Day African luncheon, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Sister Nubia Wartford, who's a fantastic African-American female archaeologist who does archaeological digs in the Sudan, she will be doing a presentation dealing with her archaeological research in the Sudan called Queendoms of Kush, K-U-S-H, Queendoms of Kush. We know that the Sudan, or what used to be called Ta-Nehesi or Nubia, is the mother to ancient Kemet or Egypt. And there are twice as many pyramids in the Sudan as there are in Egypt. I just interviewed the sister a couple months ago on my show, the African History Network show. We have that on our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, I-M-H-O-T-E-P. So it was a fantastic interview I did with her. And then I went to go see the lecture she was doing at Wayne County Community College a few days later. Her presentation is fantastic, so it's going to blow people away, okay? So that's going on in Detroit. How's everybody doing? We have Erica, Gregory, Renoko Rashidi lectures about Black Samurai, the original man. Okay. How's everybody doing? All right, share this broadcast on your Facebook page. Also, if you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show, and African American business owners. Post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Our current promotion is get 3 months for the price of 1. Email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. Customer service at africanhistorynetwork.com. We have a few spots left. And we have a few new advertisers, theprofitroom.com, darkmagentas.com. They specialize in creating home spa products based on nature's healing and soothing properties. And those are a few of our new advertisers as well. And the profitroom.com is an African-American owned education company that teaches you about investing in the stock market, trading, options, futures, foreign exchanges, the Forex market, and they specialize in day trading and one-on-one mentorship. Visit their website, theprofitroom.com, theprofitroom.com. All right, so let's continue. So I was doing a lot of research today, pulling all this stuff together and trying to separate legend from the real history, okay, with this. All right. Oh, and then also, can't forget this book, Golden Age of the Moor, edited by Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. Renoko and Dr. Ivan Van Sertima were very good friends as well. We know Dr. Ivan Van Sertima is an ancestor now. This is a classic book. This deals with, Renoko actually has a essay in here. Dr. Jose Pimenta Bay has one, Dr. Wayne Chandler, Jan Carew, Dr. John G. Jackson. This is one of the preeminent books dealing with the history of the Moors in medieval times, okay? And this deals with what the Moors introduced into Europe, and all that came to kick us in the behind. All that came to kick us in the behind. And this is why I say I wish we had never taught them. Because all we taught the Europeans, we introduced the periodic table, spherical globes, almanacs. When Columbus set sail on his 4 voyages, he's using nautical instruments based upon technology that the Moors introduced into Europe. This is why I say I wish we had never taught them, because all that stuff came back to kick us in the behind. All right. So let's see here. There was, okay, let me look at, I think the last thing I wanted to look at was the synopsis of this new book from called African Samurai, The True Story of Yasuke, a legendary Black warrior in feudal Japan. So it says the remarkable life of history's first foreign-born samurai and his astonishing journey from Northeast Africa to the heights of Japanese society. When Yasuke arrived in Japan in the late 1500s, okay, and he arrived there in basically 1579, he had already traveled much of the known world. Kidnapped as a child, he had ended up a servant and bodyguard to the head of the Jesuits in Asia, with whom he traversed India and China, learning multiple languages as he went. His arrival in Kyoto, Japan, however, literally caused a riot. Most Japanese people had never seen an African man before. Now, okay. I mean, the Ainu are there in Japan. So I don't know if they associated with the Ainu with Africa or what, but okay. This is why it's like it's a complicated history. You have to piece this together. The Ainu were already there. So most Japanese people had never seen an African man before, and many of them saw him as the embodiment of the black-skinned in local tradition, Buddha, because Buddha is black. So many of them associated with Buddha. Now, it's possible the Ainu were historically a short-statured people. So with him being 6'2" from Mozambique, it's possible that they didn't associate him with the shorter statured Ainu. That's possible, okay? But they saw him, many of them saw him as the embodiment of the black-skinned Buddha. Now, among those who were drawn to his presence was Lord Nobunaga, head of the most powerful clan in Japan, who made Yasuke a samurai in his court. Soon he was leading the traditions, soon he was learning the traditions of Japan's martial arts and ascending the upper echelons of Japanese society. Now, let's keep in mind, martial arts originates in Africa. The earliest fighting systems known to man come out of Africa, okay? And Google Kalindi E, because Kalindi E, I've interviewed him a number of times. He's a friend of mine. And Kalindi is a master of African martial arts, K-I-L-I-N-D-I, okay? Kalindi E, I-Y-I. And Kalindi does lectures dealing with this. He travels around the world. He also deals with the psilocybins, the hallucinogenic powers of the mushrooms. And he talks about the connection and the history of mushrooms and the hallucinogenic powers of the mushrooms, the psilocybins, being used in traditional martial arts as well, okay? But AtlantaBlackStar.com has an article from a few years ago dealing with African martial arts, okay? I think it's 7 African martial arts, something like that. I'll try to pull that up. Yeah. 7 African martial arts you probably didn't know existed. Okay, 7 African martial arts you probably didn't know existed. So when we think of martial arts, you know, we think of Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan. We associate martial arts with Japan or China, things like this. Martial arts originated in Africa. That's ancient. The earliest fighting systems known to man come out of Africa. They don't come out of Asia. Okay, let's go back to this synopsis from Amazon. So among those who were drawn to the presence was Lord Nobunaga, head of the most powerful clan in Japan, who made Yasuke a samurai in his court. Soon he was learning the traditions of Japan's martial arts and ascending the upper echelons of Japanese society. In the 400 years since, Yasuke has been known in Japan largely as a legendary, perhaps mythical figure. Now, African Samurai presents the never-before-told biography of his unique figure of the 16th century, one whose travels between countries, cultures, and classes offers a new perspective on race in world history and a vivid portrait of life in medieval Japan. Okay, so that is the synopsis or summary of the new book. It looks like it, at least in hardcover, was released April 30th, 2019. African Samurai, The True Story of Yasuke, a legendary Black warrior in feudal Japan. And let me see something here. Let's look and see. See when the book came out. Looks like it came out this year. It's also available in Kindle form. Not trying to promote this book because they ain't paying me nothing, but I'm just saying. I don't know these people, but I'm just saying. I'm just giving you the information here. All right. Let's continue. All right, who we have here? Erica. Let's see. You can post your comments here. We try to come to some of your comments also. Gregory, how you doing, Greg? All right, so it's a very interesting topic. Okay, so I hope, you know, with this topic coming out, you had Chadwick Boseman play T'Challa, and I've done a number of lectures dealing with the film Black Panther. Black Panther connects directly to African history and culture, language, things like this, and I deal with this in my lectures dealing with the film Black Panther. Also, you can register for the online courses that I teach, because I forgot to tell you about that. We have them in a 10-course online bundle pack. It includes ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. I deal with thousands of years of history. That's a 14-hour, 7-session online course that I teach. And it's all on demand, ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school, okay? So it's on sale right now, $40, regularly $130. You can watch from around the world, watch as many times as you want. And it also includes Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization, Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization, and some other online courses I've done also, all right? So we'll post a link here for that as well. All right, this is freezing up. We'll post a link for that also. Okay, and it's also on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, if you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, paypal.me/the AHN show. Okay, that helps us keep doing the research and stay on the air, broadcast our Sunday night show as well. And you can set up for a recurring donation if you want to. Also, if you want to donate 10, 15, 25, 50, $100, all that helps us to keep doing the research, pay the bills, broadcast the Sunday night show also. All right. So we'll be on Sunday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 9, 10 a.m. the Superstation. We broadcast on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, as well. So follow us on our fan page, The African History Network. Turn on the notifications so you know when we go live. Follow us on our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. Imhotep. And our audio podcast, you can get them pretty much wherever you get your audio podcasts from. You can follow us on our Blog Talk Radio page, The African History Network Show, or on iTunes. Wherever you get your podcast from, search for The African History Network Show. The African History Network Show. We're on Stitcher, Castbox, Acast, FM Player, TuneIn. We're on 8 different podcast platforms that I know of. All right. Okay. So look, hey, we have to get out of here. Remember, the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you read, heard, and seen about yourself. Remember, right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.